Kia ora tātou, ko Scott Nicholson aho. So I'm Scott Nicholson. A little bit about me. I started out my career by doing a degree at Victoria University in economics and economic history. So if you want to know bits and pieces about how the economy works, I can talk to you. If you want to know about what happened during the plague in the Middle Ages and how monasteries and things actually were often the centre of commerce during that period, I'm a wealth of knowledge. Not very useful when it comes to getting a job. After that, I spent some time in the Philippines doing some community development work there, had the privilege of going into some very remote villages and things where I was the first white person they ever saw. That was an amazing experience itself. Came back, worked as a farmhand for a bit, and then ended up with a job with one of the power companies down in Wellington, doing data entry. And this was the early days of databases and things, and it was on an MS-DOS based PC. During my time, when I started, I didn't actually even know how to turn on a PC. Didn't know the first thing about computers, but decided that I would take the opportunity that I had there to learn as much as I possibly could. In the space of 2 years, I was in writing and developing the databases that we were using. Progressed from there through, I guess, as a consultant for Datacom for a number of years. Project managed different IT projects for power companies for a bit, and then decided I would throw it all in and went and studied theology.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, part of it was I actually decided that people are way more important, and while theology is the study of our interaction or understanding of God, it's also about an understanding of who we are in the midst of all that. Came back, worked for IT companies again in finance and strategy. Worked for Bethlehem Tertiary Institute as their business manager for a bit. Suddenly decided I would pastor a church for 10 years, and now I am managing the hub out in Tahoe, which is a social service organisation. All the way through it, I have always had an interest in IT and technology, and what is new and what's coming down the pipeline in terms of that. Not so much, I don't really care about how it does it, but I see it as a tool that can either make our lives better or at times it makes it worse.
Yeah.
I hold the view that on the whole most technology is neutral in terms of neither good nor bad. It's actually how we use it and what we do with it. Pretty much in the same way that a hammer is neutral. Use it for banging nails is great. Hit someone on the head, not so great. That's a little bit about me. My interest in AI probably started, one of the jobs that I had was working for New Zealand Post. That was back in the day when the internet was just sort of coming into more sort of public use. It was coming outside of universities, outside of the military, and outside of the science fields, and into the everyday. New Zealand Post, even back then, this was back in 94, 95, saw the demise of the letter coming down the track, and so we spent a lot of time, me and a couple of other guys, exploring about what the future would actually look like for New Zealand Post. Part of that was playing with some of the very early, what do you call early versions of AI, in terms of they were large language models, and they were systems that you could actually have a rudimentary conversation with back then. since then I've just kept an eye on it and seen what's been happening, and kept up to date with, I guess, podcasts and things that discuss it. I am by no means an expert, but I am an everyday user of AI, and I see it has positive effects and uses and all sorts of things. Where are we? So we'll look at some of the basics of AI and some of the AI tools for every day. Basic the prompts. I'll probably skip to that by and large. I've got 20 minutes or so, half an hour. So what is AI? AI is basically a simulation of human intelligence. Who's used AI? Yeah, I was going to say most of you. Yeah.
We don't know.
What have you used? Mostly ChatGPT or Copilot? ChatGPT, Copilot, yeah, or Claude, maybe the other one, or Gemini. They seem to be the main ones that people use. So Gemini is Google, ChatGPT is OpenAI, Copilot is Microsoft, and I think Claude might be a subset of Google's. But they're systems that actually can teach themselves. That's where we've got to. So they use the information that you and I provide to, and the feedback that we provide to actually learn from that and to refine the way it responds to us. So it is about machine learning. Is a big part of it, and some of the developments now in programming and coding means that it's actually being used there, and it's humans coding alongside AI, and they're getting programs and development done a whole lot faster. It's been around in terms of automation for quite some time, and in manufacturing and the use of robotics. Locally, there's a crowd out towards the Knock Railway who do robotics, and they use, so they're building machines that use AI and machine learning and robotic systems to sort kiwi fruit, sort grade apples, all sorts of things, and so anything which is automated uses some kind of machine learning or some sort of rules to determine what it's meant to do. And then, in terms of the work that I do, and possibly what you do, data analytics is a big piece of it. I was sharing with Jody just before about how in a board meeting a month ago, I had 7 years worth of data, of our financial data, in a single spreadsheet. And one of the board members just threw it into ChatGPT and asked it, what are the key trends, what are the things we need to look out for, and it was a third question that he asked, and it actually came up with great answers around those, and things. So the impact of AI on management is an interesting one. And I guess I've written a bit of a story around this, and so imagine walking into a community centre where every face tells a story, every handshake holds a promise, and every conversation builds a bridge. In the heart of this tapestry of human connections, the role of technology, particularly AI, is like a backstage crew theatre. If there is, it's there to make the show smoother. AI brings to the table its own set of superpowers, organising mountains of data, making sense of complex patterns, and offering insights that can help steer the ship more effectively. It's like having a super efficient assistant who can juggle countless tasks without breaking a sweat, from streamlining day-to-day operations to helping to stretch out the big picture. But here's the thing, when it comes to the soul of management, it's actually all about the human touch. It's about the warmth of a smile that says, I understand, the strength of a handshake that says you can count on me, and the power of a conversation that says, let's make a difference together. The world thrives on empathy, compassion, and genuine connections, profoundly human and irreplaceable qualities. While AI can sort through data, optimize workflows, it can't look into a person's eyes and see the hope or hardship there. It can't wrap its arms around someone who needs support or inspire a room full of people with a story of resilience and courage. The essence of management isn't just about efficiency or strategy. It's about building and nurturing relationships and understanding the unique tapestry of community needs and creating an environment where every team member feels valued and motivated. So while we can embrace the incredible capabilities of AI to transform certain aspects of management, we need to remember that at its heart, management beats to the rhythm of human connections. It's in these connections that real change happens, trust is built, and strength is found. The magic of management lies in balancing the brilliance of technology and with the depth of human empathy and understanding. And so, I wrote that because I think it's actually important that we remember at the end of the day, it is just a tool. It is something that can help. But ultimately, I mean, you're all in the business of working with people and making a difference in people's lives, and that's primarily my work as well. And that's where the joy, that's where the, I guess, passion is for me. I think there's things to be mindful of when using AI. One is privacy. Especially when providing data to AI or inputting any data into AI, you basically have to go with the view that information is going into the public sphere. And so, from my team at the Hub and myself, no client data is allowed to go anywhere near it. We have aggregated data that we use and statistics and things, but no individual identifying data is allowed anywhere near AI. And also, it's about being mindful of what data you provide about yourself, because it's like opening up your life to just some random or some stranger on the street. It's also important that you be mindful of accuracy or check it. It does lie. It does make mistakes. It will. It makes things up, and it will give you answers that it thinks you want to hear. It is a product, and it's trying to get you to use it more. And so in that, it will tailor its answers to what it thinks you actually want to hear. There was an interesting interview that I listened to where a guy actually interviewed an AI model, and this was about 18 months ago. And they were discussing a topic. And at the end of the interview, the guy said to the AI model, he said, I feel as though you're giving me the answers I want to hear. To what degree are you actually doing that? And the AI just came back and just said, based on our conversation and the language that you use, I can tell you that you approach it with this bias. And so I'm giving you answers in line with that bias. Yeah, so it's just things to be mindful of. And if you're not careful, it is easy. A bit like social media, you can end up in an echo chamber where the things that you already believe are reflected back to you and constantly reinforced as opposed to being challenged by other perspectives and other views. Yeah, so tools. I actually use two main AI models. One is ChatGPT, and the other is a version or a subset of, I think it's Gemini or Claude, called Notebook LM. ChatGPT is by far the fastest one that I use, and it's pretty good in terms of the information that it gives me and the work that I want it to do. Notebook LM is more useful for those projects which have more sensitive data. It is ring fenced. They do say that the data that you provide, and there's settings within it where you can actually limit whether or not it helps the model learn and things. It uses only the documents and things that you provide for the information. So I use Notebook LM to do a lot of results reporting and also contract reporting, because I can upload the data, our annual report and other reports into that, and then ask it the questions that I want to put into the reports, and it provides those answers to those questions based off of the data that I've provided, as opposed to data off the internet. The other one that I use quite a bit is either MeetGeek or Otter AI, and they are meeting recording tools, and they will actually, with their AI component, provide you with meeting notes and all the actions out of it automatically. It definitely speeds up taking notes and meeting notes. So when using AI, we constantly use a thing which is called the AI prompt. And there's 4 components of a good prompt. That's clarity, context, specificity or being specific, and then the structure of what it is that we actually want. So clarity. Clarity is about being direct and unambiguous. Makes sense. It's about using straightforward language to convey our intent or what it is that we want. It's important that we avoid vague words. So instead of asking for a nice picture, describe the style, colours, setting, or mood that you want. Often if I am writing a response or a board report, I will tell it that I want it to be professional but friendly. I'll tell it that I want it to be positive, more positive in its outlook. I also often use it to convert things that we write for our clients, and in that, because many of our clients have trouble reading and understand written word or written documents and things, I will ask it to set the reading age at the level of an 8-year-old. And so it simplifies things down. It will use bullet points, or it will use numbered instruction sets or things like that, and it limits the reading age, which I find really helpful. Use proper grammar and punctuation. This helps AI understand your request accurately. So an example would be generate a serene landscape of a New Zealand beach at sunrise with pohutukawa trees in the foreground. And a bad example would be just like, make a picture of a pretty beach. Context. Provide relevant background information. If the prompt is for a specific audience or purpose, mention it. That's like the reading age that I talked about. If what I'm writing or what I want it to produce is for my board, I'll tell it I want it for my board. This is who it's for. So yeah, tell it who the audience is. Define the tone, style, or format that you prefer. So whether it's formal writing, creative story or technical explanation. I'll tell you what it excels at, and that's actually writing policies, drafting them up. I use it quite a bit for that. It's just like, I want to draft policy on such and such. This is the context, needs to take into account New Zealand legislation or whatever it needs to take into account. I tell it I want it to take into account, and it'll give me a draft in 5 minutes. And then it's just a case of actually me going through, double checking that it's got everything I want it to cover off, and then making sure it actually fits who we are as an organisation. It takes all the legwork out of it. And for someone like me who hates dealing with detail, it is fantastic. Set boundaries if needed, so specify what to avoid or what to focus on. So example, write a friendly, encouraging email about inviting community members to a workshop at the Hub Te Puke, focusing on financial literacy for youth. So, you know, a bad example would be writing an email. Be specific. So include detailed descriptions, names. I tend to avoid names. I use name holders. So Bob as often, or names, locations. I do use the location. I do say that we're in New Zealand. I do say I'm in the Bay Plenty, and then also if it's Te Puke specific, I do say it's for Te Puke. Time periods, styles, particular aspects you want to emphasise. Use measurable or clear criteria instead of long, say about 500 words. It's really useful for funding applications or funding reporting, because often the answers are limited to like 350 or 250 words. And so I'll just say, answer this question no longer than whatever the word limit is. Include keywords or phrases if necessary. Particularly helpful for creative writing or technical tasks. So an example would be create a 3-paragraph blog post promoting the Hub Te Puke's upcoming mental health awareness event, highlighting guest speakers and workshops. Structure. Break down complex prompts. If your request is multi-part, break it into clear steps or points. Use lists or bullet points for clarity, and this makes the request easier to understand and process. State the desired output format, and whether it's a text, chart, a table, or an image, because it can do all those. An example would be the topic is Empowerment's annual report summary, audiences, donors and community stakeholders, tone, professional yet approachable, format, a concise 2-page report highlighting key achievements and statistics. So yeah, I think in terms of tips, it's you know, really think about what it is that you want the AI to produce. Think of it like an assistant, and an assistant who hasn't done what you want it to do, what you want them to do before. And so it's actually just saying, I want this. This is what it's to look like, or this is, you know, the key features of it, and then ask them to go away and do it and come back to you, which is what AI does. You can then refine it. You don't have to accept the first draft. You don't have to accept the first thing it gives back to you. You can say, oh no, do this to it, or take away key elements of this. And use examples or comparisons to guide the AI's response or its style. For me, I have uploaded key pieces of writing that I've done personally into my AI profile, and so I will tell it to mimic my writing style, my language, and things, so that whatever it produces already sounds like me, and then I'm not having to go through and change the whole thing. Any questions?
Wow. Sorry.
Te reo Māori?
Yeah, it does use Te Reo Māori. Again, I would double check. It's syntax, the way it structures things. Sometimes it gets word order mixed up. But yeah, a friend of mine was telling me he was chatting with it the other day, because you can put it into conversation mode on your phone, where you talk to it and then it responds back. And he started chatting to it, and it actually responded to him in Te Reo Māori. And he is a Te Reo Māori speaker. So
Siri?
yeah, I'm not too sure about Siri. It was actually ChatGPT he was using. So
Does it go on Mac, like Apple MacBooks and stuff as well? But
yeah. So on the PC and so on computers, Mac or PC, it doesn't. As far as I know, there's no downloadable application. Copilot's automatically loaded into Windows 11 now, unless you remove it. But it is all web-based.
oh,
So on the Android phone and on the iPhone, there is an actual ChatGPT app that you can download. And I think all the others all have an app that you can download.
Yeah, there is, because I've seen it through Facebook and that it comes up with the AI, whatever it is.
Yeah, Meta AI.
Meta AI.
Yeah, I haven't actually used that. I'm not a Facebook fan, so.
With your notebook, Al,
Yeah.
do you just sort of dump all or plenty of your documentation or your reports or spreadsheets or things like that all in there, and then
Yeah.
that references kind of all in any or specific ones that you kind of...
Yeah, so my, I have a reporting notebook, and that's got 5 years worth of annual reports. I update it with my monthly stats as I go along,
Yeah.
and yeah, I provide it with as much information as I possibly can.
So like almost where I'll kind of put all my stuff in a folder somewhere in Dropbox or something like
Yeah.
that, you're also kind of just dumping it into Notebook LE at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
From a copyright perspective,
Any other questions?
And it will pull out text as well, like just in, any kind of random text in a document of any kind, if you make something in
Yeah.
Canva or something like that, and then something out in a Word doc and or an Excel spreadsheet and or even if it's a PDF. Like
Yes, PDFs, pretty much anything.
So like literally reads a PDF.
It'll read a PDF, it'll read an Excel spreadsheet, it'll read a Word doc. Yeah, I haven't come across anything where it hasn't been able to read it. If you're getting it to quote a document or anything, I would double check that the document actually says that and that the data is correct. Yeah, so while I do use it for reporting, I always double check the
Yeah,
data
for
that
sure.
it's,
Yeah, but it breaks the back of the process for you.
Yeah.
so what does it stand for? Apple Intelligence? Because on MacBooks they call it Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, they do call it, Apple Intelligence. I haven't actually used it, I don't use Apple products. So I can't speak.
Artificial intelligence.
Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence is like Microsoft Copilot.
Oh yeah.
So it's actually built into the operating system, and we will see that more. The latest thing that people are talking about is what they call agentic AI, and that's where it can be an agent for you, and you'd actually be able to, it can act on your behalf. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not too sure. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's pulling faces. That's the same face I pulled. It seems a little bit scary at this point. And I'm not too sure how much I would trust it. but I think in terms of the potential to help people or assist people is possibly huge. But I think in terms of the degree, it's going to have to earn trust. And that's,
Those sort of programs regulated?
it's a bit like the Wild West at the
Yeah.
moment, and there's not a lot of regulation out there. Yeah, yeah. So, and you know, and all these things, which is probably a lot of what Jody may be talking about. There are bad actors out there. There are people that are, you know, while we can talk about its good uses and where it may be positive and everything, there are people out there going, okay, how can I use this for evil?
Yeah.
It might be getting stronger too.
So yeah, I think, as I said, it's a tool. It's neither good nor bad. It's about what you actually use it for. It's also a tool with no morals.
Yeah.
Do you find that clashes with your, you know, all your strong theory background and religious stuff?
I had an interesting conversation with someone the other day, and they said, you know, what's your thoughts on this? And they said, I was driving along in the car the other day, and I was feeling really low, and they just said, I thought, I should chat about this with ChatGPT. And I said, what do you think of that? Because in the past I would have prayed. And I said, yeah, it's probably a bit scary when you start to think about it replacing, you know, God in whatever form that, you know, that takes in your life, or faith, whatever form that takes in your life. The idea that we're actually handing that aspect of our humanity or our spirituality over to a machine is a little bit scary. Yeah, they caught themselves in the midst of that, and they just went, oh, that's not very good.
No.
So what's the difference between ethical intelligence and artificial intelligence then? Ethical,
Sorry, what was that?
what's the difference between ethical intelligence and artificial intelligence then?
Apple Intelligence is just a branded artificial intelligence, so it's all artificial intelligence. It's just one particular brand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's another brand to artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So like Apple Intelligence just sits alongside the likes of ChatGPT or Copilot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Wow. It's very, very, very interesting. Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Scott.
Yeah. I would say that in terms of organisations, it's important that you have a policy around AI and who can use it and when and the like. I do actually have a draft that I'm willing to share.
Oh, right.
I can send that to.
You sent it to me.
And you'll use it to direct you. Actually, it's been really great. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
You're welcome.